Welcome back, engineers. Since the last episode, I've been busy. Belts, trains, science, the usual chaos. And we've finally reached a point where it's time to light things up. Literally. Today, the lazy engineer goes nuclear. We're talking a full setup. From reactors to processors to trains hauling fuel in and out. And yes, I may have cheated a little by speeding through the boring parts. But trust me, you'll get the fun bits. I'll show you 10 hours of nuclear fuel production compressed into less than a minute. And then we'll slow down so I can explain exactly how the system works step by step. So grab your hard hat, or maybe a hazmat suit, because this is Factorio Space Age, Episode 9, Lazy Engineer Goes Nuclear.
Alright, so I had to make a few changes since the last recording session. Basically, I've done some kludgy things, but whatever, to get the factory up to snuff. So I added this stack here right off the main line for the iron to try to get more steel out. Expanded the logistics network a bit, and added a second solar panel out here because we were low on power. We're still not doing awesome, but at our limit. And then iron was running out before the train would get back, so I had to add another iron line. So that's done. Yay. And yeah, I think we're pretty much ready now. Oh yeah, we discovered all of our planets, right? So all of the inner planets. So I guess if we go to the map now, we could go to the space map. I at least know about all of these. I don't know about Aquilo or the solar system edge yet, but it's interesting they show them to you. But yeah, so I know about these planets now. Vulcanus will be our next planet, I believe, that we're going to head to after this. Vulcanus, however you want to say it. And then we'll probably hit Fulgora, and then follow it up with Gleba. Before we head out to Aquilo. Anyway, we got our space science all set up now. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. Power is good. Just kind of hanging out here, making space science as needed. Anyway, so we're in decent shape. But we're at this point where we really can't research anything new until we get some new science. But I do need a nuclear power plant online before I kind of go there. So this is going to lead into some stuff that takes even more power. Right now, our power is not awesome. I like to keep the steady state at about 50%, and right now it's not. But yeah, if we turned everything on with research right now, it'd probably peg the top. So we got to get a nuclear power plant online. So I kind of started staging that over here at the starter lake. Just on the other side, though. Alright, and my solar panels got in the way, but that's okay. I think we'll just draw water from here, and then we'll put the actual engine for it all up here. Probably only need one for this planet. I'm not doing a mega base or anything like that, so one decent nuclear power plant ought to do it. So I started building all the bits and pieces. We've got turbines, and we've got all the pipes and stuff still being built, but nuclear, we got 4 nuclear reactors now, so we're kind of ready to do that. Probably should start making fuel too, but let's take a look here. So I've got some blueprints that I've used in the past for this. Nuclear stiff. Where is that nuclear? There it is. Nuclear stiff. So Nihilus has some really good designs for this. So I took one of his books that he put online, and I like his 4-reactor version. And I kind of modify it, but it works good. So I'm thinking we'll put that puppy down because it does good. I mean, it makes a lot of power. Should be all we need here. So we'll just stick it over here somewhere, and then we'll plumb it to the lake. And fix it up. Okay. So that should get built now. Now the idea here is this is the end, which I need to turn that around. Doesn't really matter though, because I'm just going to deliver it with logistics anyway. But I do modify his design a little bit. It's a stackable design, but I'm not going for a mega base, so I'm not going to do that. What I end up doing something like this, where I just take this apart and I keep it like that. Alright. That's just where it comes in. I don't need that anymore. And then we just gotta supply it with water. So I guess I need 4. Oh, cool. I got Kovarex enrichment done, nuclear fuel. Alright, all that stuff's done. Cool. But to get this off the ground, I'm gonna need 4 of these. There. Alright. And it's built already. I guess we just gotta put fuel in it now. So what I usually do is I just use the logistics network for this, because, I mean, nuclear fuel burns so slow. You don't need anything super high speed here. Really, these red belts are even overkill, but it's okay. So we're gonna put a red chest there and a blue chest here, and I just request like 1. You should never need more than 1. There you go, 1. And there we go. Alright. You don't even need a fast arm. There you go. Done. And we'll put one of these dudes up here just to fill our needs. And there we go. Done. Now we just gotta deal with our uranium. So We'll probably end up building uranium train stop up here at some point. But, tracks before I get run over. But we were working on this over here. Somewhere. Where we go? Down here. There it is. So I got this little patch that is kind of conveniently right in my starter patches. So I've been mining that for a while now. And looks like I've got a little bit coming out. Enough to start nuclear power, probably. Probably need Kovarex enrichment going at this point, but that's okay. So I have my own design for that. I'm sure people all have their own designs for these things. Possibly. Anyway, so I just borrowed Nalius's schematic for the reactor because it's a really good design. It just works. And it doesn't hurt to put, not that this will ever happen, but a bit of extra steam catch out here. There we go. Not that that would last too long. I don't know. Anyway, so right up here, I guess I'll do the mini. I have various versions of this. We can put it over here. Let's see. Let's see where it fits. So back to nuclear stuff. Okay. Well, we don't need all of that because I've got my things. But I guess it'd be kind of nice to have that because when the train comes in, then you'd have the full capability here. That would be cool. Yeah, we'll put it up here. Okay. It only has to, well, we might have to connect it to the network, but that's the logistics network. But we can put it right up in here, and I guess make a train station to drop off the stuff. Let's do that. We'll just say this is where we process uranium. So when we need it, there it is. So what we'll do in the meantime then is we'll switch one of these boxes out, maybe a couple of them. Blue box. We'll put one blue box here. And all these guys are going to request the raw ore. Well, right? Yeah. If we have any raw ore in the system, we'll request it. Anyway, so this is booting up now, and since we already got a bunch of ore, hopefully, yeah, it'll build us up pretty quick and we get the Kovarex process running faster. Oh, and yeah, we've already got stuff going into the thing. That's cool. So let's see, it's going to start up our nuclear power plant. Looks like it might be starting. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Got some heat started up there. And it hits 500. There we go. Wow. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Much better. Okay, so that said, we can probably tear down these solar panels now, but anyway, that solves our power problems. How did I get stuck in here? Alright, so good. I think I'm gonna clear these trees out because they're all dead anyway. Let's look at the hell out. Alright, let's get them out of here. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, meanwhile, over here, it's almost built. We need some purple chests. Well, let's see if I can craft those. Alright, those purple chests are an important part. So, this is my whole Kovarex design right here. Looks pretty good. Once this hits 40, it'll take off. And then once everything fills, it'll start, it keeps it in a loop. So it keeps 40 in the loop. And then once you get to a point where you've got extra, it starts spitting it out and ending up in this system over here for storage. So that said, I've probably got a lot of 230, whatever it is, the other stuff, 238 laying around too. So I need to bring that over. So probably what we could do to get that over here, just head over to where I've been doing it. So what we're going to do, I think we're going to turn that off. Let that finish. And we're going to replace these with purple boxes out here. So let's get through them. Purple basically says, get rid of whatever's in here now. Okay, whatever you gotta do. Okay, because there's the uranium up here that I want to get, so we can get that. Alright, so back to getting enough sulfuric acid together. Let me just get this up the window. None of this product right there. Does work. There's that. So there's this, and then we're gonna need another station next door. I guess we'll do another one right here. Hang out there. I'm gonna put strap that into a tank. Show up now. Okay, so here we are. I've let the game run overnight just to work on processing nuclear material. We are now in a condition red for our storage, and so that's why this is shut down, because we can't process anymore. We can't store anymore. We've got two Kovarex things going here. Kovarex, how do you say that? How do you say that? Let's see. We have that here. Kovarex enrichment process. Yes. That is what we were working on. So I've only got two of these bad boys here, and that's okay. That is enough all by itself with what's here. Let me turn this alarm off because it's getting annoying. There we go. Anyway, that is these two Kovarex processors are enough all by themselves to more than handle with what's here, right? So all these guys need is a supply of uranium-238 and enough 235 to keep running. The way this is designed is essentially it builds up 80 in here. So these are self-booting too, by the way, which is kind of nice. It takes them a little while, but once they get going, they just keep running. So you put in 40 of the 235s and 5 of the 238s, and you get out 2 of the 238s and 41 of the 235s. So basically you gain 1 extra 235 every time this thing runs through a cycle. And you lose 3 of your 238s, so it's kind of a recycling process in itself. So the way this is set up is I capture all the 238s up here. This is a little bar graph just to tell me how full the storage is, which is pretty full right now. And then the 235s collect down here, which we've got not a whole lot, but you can see the ratio is pretty bad. But basically there's enough 238 up here to probably go for quite a while. And then there's more coming in, right? I've got a full train, full chest. Everything's kind of backed up waiting for this to unlock, at which it will unlock once it gets low enough here and let more process. So, and the way this is set up, there's only 2 of these recyclers, so you will eventually deplete what's in this storage and you'll bring it down. But there's enough there that we can make nuclear fuel, which is right here, for quite some time, right? And if we take a look at our nuclear power plant, which is where did I put that? Right there. You can see that it is full of fuel all the way up to the input box. And all this thing's asking for is 1 at a time, right? But it's just saying, if I have space for 1, give me 1. And that's it. And this one's collecting the used cores. So what we kind of got to get to is the recycler to get rid of the used fuel cells, I should say. The used uranium fuel cells. But, I mean, this will run for pretty much ever, just on what I have collected so far. So, I guess that's the choice, right? So now at this point, is our goal to fill this storage up, just run our nuclear power plant, what, you know. And I kind of feel like I'm probably going to ship some of this 235 off to other planets. So maybe I want to start filling these boxes up so that I have lots of 235. So in that vein, that's what this is all about. Is this power switch comes on and it's supposed to help kick on more processors, Kovarex processing, to trim down, use up the 238. And so I think I'm going to do that in this case, because we really want as much of the 235 as we can get as we move forward in the timeline here. So that's the goal here. So let's do that real quick, and then we'll have to move. Then we'll move on to creating the final sciences for novice. Alrighty. So I have. Let's see if my schematics are worth a dang here. Keep this PG-ish, 13-ish. I'm in the wrong book. Nuclear stuff. There it is. Okay. Perhaps before we get into this, I should explain how my little system works. So I wanted to make this self-booting and as compact as possible. And indeed it is. If you look at this little piece, I'm not going to do that. This little piece right here is the entire thing. That is a fully self-contained Kovarex processor. Essentially what it does, so take the alt off for a minute, it's got 2 requester boxes and a active provider chest on it. So it works with the logistics system. So if you didn't have logistics at this point, you wouldn't be able to do this, but you have to have the full-on system. So basically what this says is I need 40 235s and 5 238s in order for this thing to work. And once I do, I'm going to spit out 41 235s and 2 238s. Just giving me one more 235 and reducing my 238s by a little bit. Well, to do that, I need to request at least one 235 into this box, right? And so that's what this middle blue box, requester chest, does. This says, okay, I want you to give me what I need here. And so it does, you know, it gives me the 1. And then this arm is set up. And then, okay, let's look at the other box. So the other box says, okay, well, I want you to request the 238 because we need that for the processing. And then this loads it into the machine, right? Well, this arm looks at that output, that box over there, and says, okay, well, as long as I have less than 40 of the 235s in there, I'm going to load that box with whatever's in this box. And well, and it's filtered to 235. So it pulls the 235 out of the output box and puts it back into the input box until it reaches 40. So anything higher than 40 is what this arm does. And so it says if I've got more than 40 235s in the box, I want you to pull out whatever's in there and stick it in this box, which immediately gets sucked away. And that'll end up in here for other reasons that I'll explain in a minute. But basically, and that's it. So it makes sure that there's always 40 in here, or up to 40. So everything up to 40 gets cycled around this way. And since this takes twice the number it needs to process, it always gets 80, right? And then this one always gets 40, so does that 8, 120. So once you reach 120 235s in this loop, this thing self-sustains and starts outputting everything that it makes to this purple box. Now you end up with a little bit of buildup in here because there's, you know, extra stuff coming out. So probably needs a little bit more to it to say, hey, you know, well, if there's more than 0 of this, then I want you to pull that out. Yeah. Okay. We could add a circuit for that. Maybe let's do that, because I would like to eject those 238s out of here. I don't see a reason to keep them. And so I'd have to be able to basically set the filters on this. At that point in time. Okay, let's try that real quick. So I'm gonna do a, because they've improved these things, these decider combinators are pretty nice now. We'll throw one of those puppies down right here. I don't know, put it right there. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this box. Use the green wire for that, I guess. We're going to take a look at that box, and here's what's in the box. So we want to make a decision about that. So I guess we want to say if it's greater than 40, because we want to move this logic over here. We might actually need 2 of these. Yeah. But I'd kind of like to switch which things it does. Can we do an each? Okay. We don't really want everything. We just want what's greater than some number, right? Because if it just makes it 0 for a minute, that would give us both, and that's not really what we want here. So I think what we want, we're gonna need 2 of these. So we'll say 40 output. The thing we want out, where'd it go? The thing we want out, 1, right? So right now it wouldn't do that because we've only got 11 in there. So there's that one. Now if we put another one right next to it and we hook the green wire across, and then we'll hook these 2 red wires together, or these 2 outputs together. And for the moment I'll just put a pole here just to visualize what we're doing. Okay, so this one we want to say if the 238 is greater than 0, then output 238. Alright? And that way it'll pull it out. So there's a 1. Okay. Right, and then you can see briefly that it turns on the other signal. Okay, so let's rearrange this slightly. It's right there, that'll work. And we're going to take the red wire, just make sure that doesn't do something funny. Take the red wire off of here, and we'll reconnect it to here. And we're going to use the set filters thing, right? Okay, so now it's using filters and it's saying, I just want that. And then as the cycle ends, it should change the filters briefly to say that it wants the 235 as well. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Because it got over 40 for just a second there. Alright, so let's turn that around. So now that should start pulling out our stuff, right? Until... And you can see that it's transferring it into the storage over here. Although storage is full. Okay. It's moving it on up here where it can. Yeah. Empty box there. Alright, so that gets this box to empty out. And it'll eventually clean this out and leave our remainings in here. So eventually this will build up to 40 in this box as well, which is fine. The other part of that, and so I probably could have used a different arm here, is I'm overriding the stack size to 1 because I want exact counts. If you set that anything higher, you're going to end up with funny numbers, and it'll work, but it'll act funny. So you want the number to be exactly 1. Now on the output, you can do the full stack. So maybe as a improvement for this, I'm just going to switch this back to a blue arm because I don't get any benefit from the green arm here. And we'll make sure it's set to 1, right? Okay. And the same thing with this one. I want to pull 1 out of here and put it in so that I have exact numbers. Otherwise you end up with funny numbers. So that's a slight improvement. I like that. It gives it just what it needs to keep functioning in a loop. And dumps the excess 238 out. And there we go. I like it. So now we've got 2,714 in there. I like that a lot. Okay, so let's update this other one. We can copy this setup. Just move it over slightly. Special case here. And we'll put the green wire on from this box. Move that to the side for a minute. Take the red wire off of there. Connect the red wire back over to there. Figure this appropriately. There, now it should start pulling out. You can put one of these. Okay, I already did that. Oh, that's the wrong one. Pull one of these up here. Okay, so that fixes that all up. So they functionally are the same. Now, that said, we probably want to do a mass enrichment here somewhere. Because our goal is to fill these boxes up, right? Right now I've got some, but I'd like to fill this up and bring this down to some reasonable level and let more of this process. So in that light, what we're going to do is blueprint this little dude. AOVAREX. Call it a Kovarex recycler. Alright, and we'll put pictures of that and that. Okay. keep the tiles because I like the cement under it. And put this in our nuclear stuff section. Alright, so let's go over here and set this up now. And get out of here. Alright. So this switch is on right now because of condition red. And this little circuit right here, all this does, it's kind of like a flow rate, right? Or a meter to say so high and so low. So it's basically saying if I get to down to 27,000, we can go back, you know, back to yellow, and that changes the situation. And it basically bled everything off, and that turns this light off at that point. So it's a latch, and it latches at condition red. It latches in at 92K, which is basically when this is almost full. Right now we're at 90K. We bled some of it off just with these two. But we want to do this a little faster, so this is going to bleed off until we hit 27K. And then we should be good. Okay. So what we're going to do is set up a Kovarex processor right out here to deal with that. So we'll go back into our blueprint book, and we're going to set up a few of these. Put some recyclers up out here. Yeah, that works. We'll do like 6. And we'll put some substations in here. Okay. And then we're going to need a robo port in the middle here. Cover all of that. Now we can see how the boot up process kind of works, right? So it starts requesting the things that it needs. Okay. So here we are in this situation now where we're not quite loaded, right? We've got 31 in this guy, 10 in here, so it can't even process yet. We need 40. So it's requesting the 1 as they get made, because we need up a bunch. So let's talk about this then. So this guy here, basically it's hooked up to the logistics network. It knows everything about what's in there. And it's basically saying, so long as I have 0 in here, I want you to output a 1. So there's nothing, and the goal here is to preserve as much 235 as we can. Be very conservative with it, because it's kind of rare, right? So we want to process it exactly how we want to process it, and not just let it go anywhere we want. So what this says is, if I don't have any available, put 1 out there. And so this says if that equals a 1, it could have been a green check mark or anything, really. This is just the signal to say turn on. And again, it's set to a stack size of 1, so it only pulls 1 out. So it pulls 1 at a time out into this box and makes it available, which causes this port to report it back here as available. And so that's how I meter it out of the storage. So it's a little slow to meter out, but it's absolutely preserves the numbers you want. At the same time, we don't care here so much because we get so much of it for the 238. So we just stick them in red boxes and let whoever needs it pick up whatever they need, period. So that's what's happening here. Alright, so we've now got enough in this one that it's starting to process, right? And since it's already able to request the 1, and there's some available, it builds up a lot faster. But it's basically it's self-booting, right? You can see they've all taken off on their own. And it doesn't matter where this comes from. It could come from this belt over here because we processed it. See, there's a couple hanging out in here that haven't gotten loaded into the system yet. Doesn't really matter where it comes from. So there's the other part of this system. This, if this was open right now, this would pick up, well, this would pick up everything and stick it in storage that comes past this point. And so this guy right here, he says, look at this storage system of these red boxes. Tell me how much 235 is in it. If it's greater than 0, then I want you to set the output to however many are in there, right? And then this tells this blue box to request exactly that, set requests. That's why that's set like that. Right now it's not requesting anything because there's nothing in the storage. But because that happens and the robots come by and they pick it up out of here and they drop it in this box, and this box then drops it into the storage system, which makes it end up in here and eventually come out here one at a time. So that way we capture it all. So it doesn't really matter if it comes in on this belt or gets output in this box or what. No matter how you slice that, this thing's going to turn on and say, hey, I need some of this because, well, okay, that's not quite right. So whatever comes out of here then gets requested back. So this box is requesting all the 238s, which just dumps it back on the line, right after the gate, and it gets thrown back into storage. This box, it's part of our 235 storage, says request 235. So anything that comes into a purple box that's 235 is going to go here. And since it's always empty, hopefully, it will dump into here. So that's kind of how that works, right? This is self-sustaining, this little loop here. It forces through a purple box for the items in there to be picked up immediately. That's kind of what the purple box does. The active provider chest, right? It says active provider basically means if there's something in this box, I need the box to do something with it now. And that's either store it in a yellow box or give it to somebody that's requesting it or whatever that may be. Wherever it needs to go, just get rid of it, get it out of this box. And since if nobody's requesting actively, like that guy already has what he needs to make fuel, and so does this guy, then this is the target. And so it'll pick it up from these purple boxes and throw it in this yellow box, because there's nowhere else for it to go. Anyway, if this overflows, it'll probably end up in the general storage, which is also fine, but at that point, you're good. So here we go. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these doing their thing. They're all kind of booting up. When these blue boxes reach a count of 40 235s in here, then it's self-sustaining. It is not yet self-sustaining. Alright, because it pulls those out as fast as it puts them in. And that only happens once this reaches a load of 80, which it hasn't done yet. Where are we at? Yeah, so we're up to 57, 58 right now. Well, that's because we're getting requests off of here, right? Keeps requesting one. So the advantage of this is but this will boot up. So you just have these two, it'll boot up on its own eventually, because you have 235s coming in this way. And then in the condition we're in now, we filled up our 238 storage, so it stopped processing, and now we need to burn off 238. And that's what this is designed to do. So I'm going to do another row of these on the other side here, and that should be sufficient to bring it down and build up our 238 pretty good. So let me do that real quick. Go. And that'll get built. And then those will boot up. So, on that note, let me save this here.
That's the nuclear plant fully online. Reactors humming, trains hauling fuel, and more power than I'll ever need. But before I can leave Novice, there's still work to do. I need to expand the base, scale up science, and of course, test out these shiny new nukes on the local biters. Only then will we be ready to fire up the ships and head for the stars. So stick around. The lazy engineer is just getting warmed up. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. And I'll see you in episode 10.